My name is Matthew Reinhardt, and I am a pop-up book designer. I was one of those kids who always drew and always made stuff. I studied biology. My parents really wanted me to be a doctor. Life is short, and you've got to do something you really love. My first book that I actually worked on was called The Pop-Up Book of Phobias, and it was this weird adult sort of pop-up book, and all these different phobias came to life and pop up. The most important movie that inspired me or movie series was Star Wars. I did 2 Star Wars books. One is about the original trilogy, one is about the prequel trilogy. I'm such a geek for Star Wars. I'm so into it. There's one character that was in the cantina that you never see the lower body of this character. So I had to call Lucasfilm to ask them, do you have anything to show the lower body? Because I want to show the lower body. I read all the Transformer comics because I love Transformers.
Transformers, more than meets the eye.
They very much inspired me. The toys, as a kid, really inspired me because of the way that they come apart and come back together and make something else. So I take something that's 2D and I make it 3D. I did one about Lego. My Little Pony. I also did this great Game of Thrones book a couple of years ago that actually turns into a giant map. What I like about that book is it's inspired me to do more books that kind of think outside the book. I've also done some books with some really great illustrators and authors. One of the biggest ones for me very early on in my career was with Maurice Sendak called Mommy. It actually took about 4 years to finish. My tools that I work with here in the studio, like scissors, tape, this cardstock, glue. I use a knitting needle to make actually the fold line. So making a pop-up usually takes about 4 to 5 months. Sometimes 6 if it's a really big book. I'll make sort of an outline. It's not like a movie, but you really do have to think about it in scenes. The next step is actually engineering the pop-ups, and that's really just me in my studio cutting and folding the paper and seeing how all these things work together. I take it apart and then I'll trace all the pieces using Adobe Illustrator and make what are called die lines, and those are the lines they use to cut out all the different pieces for a book. The next step is making the artwork that goes on it. It's kind of like the frosting on a cake. Either I will make that artwork, and I have a bunch of different styles that I use, or I'll work with another illustrator. You give them sort of a guide, and sometimes they'll inspire me, and that'll change some of the engineering. So once all that artwork is made, then the artwork will be digitally scanned. We'll put that underneath those die lines I created in a file. All that information, along with one finalized prototype that I've built by hand, will all go to the manufacturer. So they will analyze the book, they'll analyze prototypes that I've sent, and they'll figure out the best way to build it. And it's all hand assembly, and then it goes on shelves. Initially, when I first started, there were specific rules. My mantra about it is you learn the rules, break the rules, you learn new rules, repeat. Anyone could do it. It's just practice, practice, practice.